Jumbo and good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Safari Mack in Africa. I'm your guide and your host, helping you make connections to the wild. For those who are joining me from last week's episode of the rhino, we now move on to meet the largest land animal to walk the earth, the African elephant. But before we begin today's episode, I'd like to take a moment and thank all of you for your support by tuning into my videos each week, hitting the like and subscribe button, and checking out my Facebook content. But for those who are joining me for the very first time, welcome. If you haven't done so, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you can stay tuned for special updates and announcements. Be sure to check out my Facebook page for more content about animals. And be sure to check out my other videos, which you'll find the links to down in the description below, along with my email address for those who have questions. But now, if you don't have a Facebook page, be sure to send me an email, and I'll be glad to send you links and videos regarding today's videos as well as future episodes. Now, before we begin, I'd like to just point out the African elephant actually comes in two kinds. The African bush elephant, which will be our focus today, and the African forest elephant. We'll get to the forest elephant whenever we come back to Africa as we explore the rainforest areas. Now, let's begin with their history and families. Elephants belong to a family group called Proboscidea, or animals with a trunk. The earliest member of the elephant family was a creature called Paleomastodon. As you can see, it was almost as tall as a human, but had a short tusks and short trunk. Later on, we would get another equally interesting creature called Dinotherium, which was said to be as tall as a giraffe, yet weighed 14 times as much. And these creatures lived in Africa 4 million years ago, using their downward curving tusks to strip off bark from trees as well as to dig up roots. But perhaps the greatest and best known prehistoric elephant would have to be the mammoths. They come in many different kinds: the woolly mammoth, the steppe mammoth, and the Columbian mammoth. But for more information about mammoths and all other prehistoric elephant species that are no longer with us today, be sure to check out some video links which you'll find down in the comment section below. I'll be sure to send that to you all later. Now let's talk about their habitat and their lifestyle. The African bush elephant's home consists of grassy plains and open woodlands that we call savannas, but they can also be found in arid bush countries such as in South Africa. Now, once upon a time, though, we once believed that all elephant herds were led by the largest bull elephant. Not really true. Instead, bull elephants usually live alone, or they may live in bachelor groups where they can learn to fight each other and learn other skills on how to be a male elephant as well as be attractive to the girls. But in terms of herd lifestyles, the male's herd will never come close to even the complexity of the female herds. Now, when I see an elephant herd, I'm seeing not only a family, but I also see a fortress. Because in herds, there can be as many as 8 elephants to almost 100 individual elephants, all being led by the single female elephant, which would be the oldest female, called the matriarch. The matriarch, consider her to be like your great-great-great-grandmother. She is tasked with the burden of remembering everything that is essential for the herd's survival. Where to find food, where to find water, as they need to drink more than 20 gallons of water a day, and where to find important minerals such as salts. But all the other elephants, they follow her. Whenever she eats, they eat. Whenever she sleeps, they sleep. Whenever she travels, they travel. She remembers everything, even special secrets along their migration as well as their migration paths. Now, when the matriarch of the herd dies, eventually it's the next oldest female or even a close relative that takes over and is in charge of the herd, and thus continues passing down knowledge learned from generations down to their daughters. In a herd, it is all a big female society. They are grandmothers, their nieces, their aunts, their mothers, their sisters, their cousins, you name it. Now, for an elephant born, after spending 22 months in the womb, a female gives birth to a single baby, which can weigh as much as 200 pounds at birth, almost my complete weight. Now, in the herd, the females, thanks to living in a herd, mom has some great additional help with all the other females helping to look out for the little guy. So they will help the baby either get out of the mud if it gets stuck. They'll stand and act like a shade while if the baby decides to take a nap. And with other newborns, with other babies or children around, they can learn how to be elephants by playing and socializing. But so I think this is kind of where we can get the phrase of it takes a village to raise a child. Now, if it's a male child, the male usually sticks with the herd for at least the first 16 years of its life before being cast out by the matriarch to learn how to be a male elephant. But usually the females always stay within the same herd their entire life. In fact, it's said that the relationship between the mother and daughter can last more than 50 years. But now, just because they may stay with their herd all their life, it's not always the case. Sometimes, if a herd gets too big to where it really can't support all the animals in the group, sometimes they will split in half and create a new herd with a matriarch appointed to where she would be in charge and lead her family off on different paths and different places to find food, water, and the much needed salts. Speaking of food, let's talk about lunchtime. Being the largest land mammal on Earth, they have great appetites. They are known to eat more than 330 pounds of leaves, grass, twigs, shrubs, and fruits a day. That's what I call really eating your greens. Now, as they have different secrets for feeding, they figure out how to feed themselves, as they are incredibly intelligent animals. As you can see, this elephant is trying to stand on its hind legs to be able to reach the tallest branches from this tree, even being able to shake out all the dirt and stones out of grass before they put it into their mouths. But now, 330 pounds of food, it sounds a lot to us, but when you have an animal that's nearly 12 feet tall and almost weighing up to 6 tons, or 12,000 pounds, that's usually males. Females usually weigh around 6,000 to 8,000 pounds. That's not really a whole lot. If you really wanted to know an animal that really eats for greed and for gain, that would be the caterpillar, as they eat so much food a day that they double their body size until they're ready to begin their transformation into butterflies. So, in truth, and another reason why elephants eat so much, they have some of the poorest digestion systems on the planet. In fact, only 4% of everything that they will eat ever gets digested. Everything else just passes through. So they have to constantly feed just to keep their stomachs from having a hard time. For a baby, though, milk for the first 2 years of its life is on the menu. In fact, they drink nearly 20 pints of milk a day, or what we would equalize it to almost 100 human baby bottles. By drinking that much every day, at the end of a week, a baby could gain 30 pounds. And I'm telling you, that's a growth spurt. And like I said, they need all that food just to keep growing. Let's end today's episode with their place in human culture. In the Western Hemisphere, elephants have paraded into many forms of popularity, from Babar, a child book series, to circus elephants, even being in Africa, though, being revered as gods. This is the Ashanti group that you can find near modern-day Ghana, where they believe that elephants are a form of human chief elders in a past life. And in South Africa, they're revered as with strength, wisdom, and eternity. So these creatures are highly respected in Africa. Now, that's all the time I have for today. Be sure to stay tuned. Coming up next, be sure to stay tuned for the next Conservation Conversation episode. Until then, this is Safari Mack. I'll see you out there in a little bit.